Good afternoon, T-Bones fans, and welcome to the Steakhouse. Dan Vaughn with you, the breaking news here at the Steakhouse, which means we're going to do it just like we always do. We're going to roll the open and roll the breaking news. Sit back and join me right here as we talk a little T-Bones baseball breaking news here on a Friday, right here on the Steakhouse. Take it away, Open. Here we go. Well, and welcome to the Steakhouse for breaking news edition here on a Friday. And this all coming down. We're in the last few minutes, 10 minutes old, maybe, something like that. I don't know how much and what you're seeing. And again, the rules are, if you're hearing me, thumbs up. And a lot of you guys, Chris Brown, Elmo, Charles, others, you're hearing me, thumbs up, which means audio's going great. Summer haircut, not so much. The news is, well, it's some good, some bad. Depends how you look at it. The good news is, I guess, there's going to be baseball. The bad news is it won't include the Kansas City T-Bones. That's the two pieces of news here. A lot to digest. Let me just go ahead and give you the headline from the American Association. Then we'll kind of come back and I'll give you some bullet points here and there and kind of give you guys a chance to ask some questions as well. This won't be very long. This will be pretty short, but give you guys a chance to kind of dissect, because I'm really kind of looking at it too. It's all, to me, looking at it here in the last few minutes and really just my mouth. There we go. Need that to go. I'm just seeing this myself for the first time, actually, two pieces of information, one coming from the association, and I had the release the last few minutes. There's been releases from other ball clubs as well. We're jumping around on here socially, being live first and foremost out in front. That's what we do, and that's what we're jumping out doing that. So American Association has unveiled a plan for the 2020 season that will start on July 3rd. That plan calls for 60 games in 3 hub cities. And we've heard about this hub thing. Major League Baseball talked about it. Obviously, the NHL's talked about it. The NBA's going to do it. So's the American Association. Those hub cities will be Fargo, Milwaukee, and Sioux Falls, which means those 3 teams will be playing in those hub cities. They'll be joined by Winnipeg, who will be in Fargo, Chicago, who will be in Milwaukee, and the St. Paul Saints will be in Sioux Falls. So that, again, let me get that to you. The 6 teams that are going to be in the hubs, again, are going to be Fargo, Milwaukee, and Sioux Falls. Those are your 3 hub cities. And then they'll be joined by, again, Winnipeg in Fargo, Chicago in Milwaukee, and Sioux Falls in St. Paul in Sioux Falls. Now, skipping down a bit here, those are the 6 teams that will play the American Association this season. The other teams will be sitting it out this year. That would include, obviously, the Kansas City T-Bones, the 2 teams in Texas, both the Texas Airhogs and the Cleveland Railroaders. Lincoln, which I just saw a moment ago, Michael Dixon made his announcement a moment ago. Gary and Sioux City would be the clubs that would not appear here. And again, we'll get to the questions in a moment. I know some of you guys have questions and comments. We'll get those in a moment. But again, some of the details of this thing, let me give you the T-Bone side of things first of all. Okay, let me just do that. I think that's the first place I should start. Yes, I know it's the American Association. We are one big league, but you guys are mostly T-Bones fans. And I'll give you the T-Bone side of things first off. And this is something that's been ongoing with the state of Kansas, the unified government, both on both sides of the border, in Missouri and in Kansas, both with Metro Kansas City. It's been an ebb and flow deal. We know the Royals are going through a situation, should they even ratify anything in the big leagues to play ball, that the K will be quiet most of the year because it just doesn't fit the guidelines for either the state of Missouri or for Kansas. As a matter of fact, next month, Kansas Speedway reopens. That's going to reopen with a race at Kansas Speedway with no fans. This weekend in Dallas, the Colonial is going on in Fort Worth. It's the first golf tournament since they shut down the PGA back in March. And that's being with no fans either. So you see kind of where we're coming from a T-Bone's point of view. From a T-Bone's point of view, our business model, A, is to get folks out the ballpark. That's A. And B, and we're going to get that in a moment, just from a Kansas City metro area situation, for us to play baseball with players arriving next week, for spring training a week after, and a season to begin the week after, was going to be a lot to ask. It's just a lot to ask under the current situation. It doesn't mean that other parts of the country weren't allowed to or will not be allowed to or can. That's all their business. Kansas City business is this. That's the way it is. It's just deemed, quite frankly, unsafe for the game to go on in Metro Kansas City. That's the Kansas City side of things. Now, from a league perspective, the league is still going to be around. I know they've worked tirelessly. Joshua Schaub and Josh Buchholz have worked tirelessly with the league directors, the GMs, and this goes back. They were on top of this thing back in March. I can tell you back in mid-March, they were already making plans in different scenarios what might happen should we get to this point. One of those scenarios is the Hub City thing. And it is going to happen in the American Association. Other teams are talking about it. Other leagues are talking about it. The American Association announcing today that schedule will come out on Monday. The schedule, again, 60 ball games. 42 of their 60 games for each team will be in the Hub. There'll be very limited travel. So, again, with those Hub teams, with only playing a limited schedule, you're going to be playing only 42 of your ball games are going to be played in your hub, so you won't have to travel. 18 will be played in one of their hubs. Again, the hubs are Milwaukee, Sioux Falls, and Fargo. I don't think there's any surprise there. If you were going to bet on a place that there'd be safe baseball, the Dakotas would be one of them, because we've even talked about months ago. The NHL talked about playing in the Dakotas as well. Not uncommon. Winnipeg, interesting. They're not playing in Winnipeg. They're basically crossing the border. I noticed this yesterday. Canada, Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, extended the border crossing shutdown on the Canadian side through the end of July. That was something that had been talked about. It's been pushed on to July. So that makes total sense for them to cross the border and play. From a revenue standpoint, that's something we'll have to discuss down the road. That's all their business. But the league will continue onward this season in that 6-team format. Again, the 6 teams will be Fargo, Sioux Falls, Winnipeg, Milwaukee, Chicago, and St. Paul. That's your 6 teams, okay? And that's the way it's going to look this summer. I'm reading here. I'm going to kind of read you kind of word for word here. The American Association of Independent Professional Baseball will get a 6-team, 60-game season with fans in attendance on Friday, July 3rd. The league office announced today. Full schedule comes out on June 15th. That's Monday. The American Association will begin with 3 hubs, games hosted by Fargo, Milwaukee, Sioux Falls, I mentioned, Winnipeg, and then Chicago, Milwaukee, and those Winnipeg, Chicago, and St. Paul in those various hubs there. And the schedule will allow any of the 3 road clubs to return home for games if local government restrictions allow for games with fans in attendance. So should the governments in St. Paul, who am I missing, Chicago and Winnipeg, should that happen, which Winnipeg sounds dicey, but St. Paul possibly, and Chicago possibly. If that happens, say in July or maybe in August 1, those teams could return home to play their games at home. I know St. Paul's worked hard to have a plan in place should and when that happens. If it happens, there's no guarantee it will happen, but it could happen. If it does, those cities will be ready to rock and roll for the season. This also goes on to tell you down the release here, truncated spring training will begin June 25th with opening day scheduled for July 3rd. And the American Association will experiment with new rosters in 2020, including the highlighted by elimination of rookies, LS, and veteran minimums and maximums on rosters and are drafted players from non-participating clubs to have the best possible talent available to play this season. So one of the big questions I think a lot of us had, the what if. What if this was to happen and some teams did not play? What would happen? Well, the league qualifications for rookies and veterans out the window for the season, which we've talked about this too, guys. If you watch the Steakhouse, you watch my happy hours, I've mentioned a couple of times, if there ever was a chance for Major League Baseball, the American Association, the Kansas City T-Bones, whoever, the Mudville Nine, to experiment with something they've not done before, this is the year. Because, again, all bets are off. In sports and society, all bets are off. I mean, we're in a society where masks are encouraged and travel is discouraged. So, I mean, being creative was going to be the key. And that's definitely where we're coming from. Creativity is the key. And the league's gotten very creative, which I figured they would. I thought they would. And, again, the elimination of the rookies, LS, and veteran minimums, and a maximum rosters and drafting players, so which means some T-Bones can be playing other places. Now, how that affects the T-Bones down the road for the next hot stove, that's to be determined. We'll get to that point at some point, and we will, again, there's a lot to unwrap here, a lot to digest, and that'll be coming up down the road. We'll get to that, and maybe as early as Wednesday, we'll start to ask those questions on our show on Wednesday. The regular season will end September 10th with a 5-game American Association Finals, putting the top 2 teams from the regular season. So of those 6 teams, the top 2 will play for the American Association title in 2020. Quoting here, Josh Schaub says, we're very happy to be able to return professional baseball to our fans, albeit in a different fashion than usual. And that's his initial quote there. St. Paul, their headline, baseball's back. American Association again play July 3rd. Saints will use Sioux Falls as home ballpark for now. That's kind of their headline. Again, it's a real roll of the dice for those folks. Again, that's their business, and that's where they're coming from. I wish all the teams the best. It's a bitter pill for me today. I know a lot of T-Bones fans are probably a little upset about it too. It's not a taste I like. Knowing that how you passionate you people are, how excited you people were, how our host families were, our players were, our manager, our new ownership, how exciting this all was to not play. And it's hard. And I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, we're one united league. Okay, we are one united league, but it's going to be interesting and it's going to be painful to know that some teams are playing, albeit a different league than usual, and we're not going to be playing. And that's going to be a little hard to watch. But we'll support the league 100%. We'll be right there with them and hoping for a phenomenal 2021 T-Bone season and a lot to get to between now and then. A lot to digest as well, okay? I'll give you a chance to fire your questions and comments off here. If you have them, I'm here to give them to you or give you a chance or your platform. I'll answer what I do know. I do know this. Chris Brown, for example, today was on the phone extensively with both ownership and with the host families. They've been notified earlier the announcement. Players, I believe, were also being notified of all this as this came down today. You're asking why today? Well, it need to be done sooner or later. If your rosters and schedules need to come out on Monday, well, it made sense. I don't know when the draft's going to be. I don't know if it's in here. I don't see it in these notes here. Again, I'm looking. It does say the St. Paul Saints release does mention. Let me see if the association one does. Does it? The St. Paul Saints release on a second page here. I'm kind of scanning it. If you'll give me a moment, it's kind of talking the overall. They do mention 6 teams that operate this summer due to the impact of COVID-19. Cleburne, Gary, Kansas City, Lincoln, Sioux City, and Texas will suspend baseball operations for the remainder of the summer and return to full operations the 2021 season. Okay, what's that mean for Kansas City? Let me tell you this. Let me give you this little positive nugget. I can tell you that this T-Bone staff, Mark Brandmeier, new owner, and principal Mark McKee, and also Chris Brown and Matt Perry, Morgan, the entire staff. They've been working very hard on some summer news for you. It's not going to be announced yet, but there's some things in the works to bring some life to the ballpark. What that will be, I don't know. I can't tell you that yet, but they're working very hard. I can tell you right now, my last 3 conference calls with them, they've been working hard to give something out the ballpark this summer, whether it be some kind of social gathering in a limited basis, practicing social distancing. Something will be done out the ballpark this summer, but what that is, it will not be T-Bones baseball, unfortunately. So, again, it's just the lay of the land, folks. It's just the way. And if you live in Kansas City or you follow the T-Bones from afar, it shouldn't take a real difficult connect the dots to realize the situation. Some talking points I want to give you as well. And this came from the league, and we kind of scanned these as well. These are all coming in right now. To answer your question, first off, some of the questions are going to be why the teams that are being picked to play. Are they being picked or whatever? Basically, it's this. If you realize where the map of the American Association is, Winnipeg down to Dallas-Fort Worth, that's right in the middle of North America, and that's a big swath of land. If you kind of start thinking about your geography here, all those teams, the hub, Fargo, Sioux Falls, very close together, 2 hours and change? And then Milwaukee, 4 hours, 3 hours away? St. Paul's not that far away. Winnipeg, in that neck of the woods, they're all fairly close. Chicago probably the furthest, but Chicago to Milwaukee is 100 miles, something like that. So you don't have far for that hub, and all those teams are all kind of bunched up. That makes perfect sense. The association telling us that the teams were chosen based on their ability to host games with fans, and visiting teams were assembled in combination based on the geography and also local COVID restrictions, the potential ability to return home based on the states and provinces' phase plan to reopen. So, again, they were chosen based on geography, based on the ability to host fans. All 3 of those ballparks can host fans. And then number 3, the potential to go back to their home ballpark down the road and play to wrap up the season. So there's where all that is. Let's see here. Again, I'll give you guys a quick chance to fire off anything else. I think that kind of covers it. I think it does. Wednesday, I know that Mark Brandmeier is going to be making a statement for the ball club over the course of the weekend, probably on Monday. I know Mark will be doing that. He'll be on the show, I hope, next Wednesday is the plan. We'll have him on the show on Wednesday. If not, either Chris Brown or someone from the ball club will join us to kind of let this thing settle a bit, digest it a bit, and just kind of see where we are. And kind of just, because there'll be questions, there'll be some things to discuss, and maybe some more news by then, maybe some more news on the ballpark front. So again, a lot to dissect here, okay? And again, I don't think it takes, I'm disappointed. To be honest with you, I'm heartbroken. I'm disappointed. Yes, I'm not a frontline doctor, as I mentioned before. We know this. I'm not value to the COVID effort. I know this. But I'm doing this show right now on my Facebook page for a reason. And yet I'm still wanting to be there, supporting the ball club and promote the ball club and be in the ballpark this summer. It breaks my heart because it's what I do. This is what I do for a living. I don't sit in my back porch and do happy hours on Facebook, although that's what I'm doing now, which is fine. Transition to that, but it's what I do. It's what my mates in Cleveland, Brad Allred and Denning Gehring do. It's what Michael Dixon and Lincoln does. It's what Tim Costello and Grand Prairie does. It's what Connor Ryan does in Lincoln. It's what we do. We do this, and we broadcast and support our brand, and we promote our brand, and to not do it for a summer and to be sitting idle is heartbreaking. But I swear that I'm going to do a better job as a father, as a T-Bone fan, as a broadcaster. I'm going to do all I can to come out of this thing better in the end, as a man of faith, whatever. and enjoy as much as I possibly can this summer while my heart heals and while our heart heals and while this T-bone thing heals, because it's going to be painful. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think any of us thought anything that was going to, this is not a big, if I drop don't you hear the audio there? Did you guys lose me there? Hope I didn't lose you guys. Let me pull this down to make sure I didn't lose you guys. I'm not showing a VU meter on my VU. I mean, well, yeah, you guys are hearing me. I hope you're hearing me. So if you're not, you'll let me know. But again, hope you guys are hearing me. Let's see what I got here. Some questions here. Some of this may have been answered. I'm kind of looking at the glare here. Yes, the ballpark will be amazing next season. All the extras. Time to spruce things up. Whereas COVID, I think, will not slow down renovations. I think renovations are going to be will be fine. I do believe that's going to be going. I know that Chris Brown told me today he and Mark McKee had been out there walking through, which is our new chief commercial officer. Mark and one of the partners that was walking through with Chris Brown and some other folks promoting some things down the road. Also looking at the renovations and what is on and what's going to continue going forward. So that's not going to slow things down. The unified government's very much wanting to push forward with those renovations. So that will continue. Let's see here. Sorry, guys. I got a major glare today. Let's see. Yes, Georgette, it sucks, especially you folks up in Gary. It's going to be hard for all of us. It's hard. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is hard. It's hard. And it's going to be a tough one to get through. But we will get through it again. And the key is, again, is I'm going to close this thing out because there's really not much more I can tell you, but to kind of recap the news. But, hey, be thankful we're Americans, I suppose. I mean, I think we can actually, have this discussion. I mean, I don't know. I'm thankful for this opportunity to be a part of the T-Bones. I'm thankful. I'm very thankful, but I'm also hurting. And I think that's the thing. I mean, again, it's going to be difficult for a lot of us this summer. I'm going to embrace it, enjoy it the best I can, but I'm not going to lie to you. When those ball games hit the airwaves up in Fargo and Sioux Falls and Milwaukee, and my brethren are up there broadcasting, and I wish them the best. I wish you guys the best up there. Hope you have a great season. But if you're calling games and promoting games and cheering on your team, I wish you guys the best. For us that aren't doing it, it's going to be a little painful. And I want the league to succeed, but at the same time, I'm going to be honest with you. I want the T-Bones to succeed. I want our brand to succeed. I want our people to succeed. I want our fans to enjoy that night at the ballpark. I know how special our T-Bones brand is. And you got to feel for Mark Brandmeier. Mark Brandmeier, brand new owner. Don't you think he's excited to unleash his new exciting love of the T-Bones? I know he is. I've spoken to the man. I know this. The entire staff is in that same boat. So why be evangelical here? And yes, I want the league to do very well, and I hope the league does great. It's great news. The bad news is, well, we got to sit it out. But again, I challenge you guys. I challenge you guys to come out of this as better people in the end, and the league will come out better. The league will come out better because of this. The fact that we're actually playing, I think, is a good statement right there. That's a good thing. The league will come out better. But the T-Bones faithful, the fans, host families, front office, you name it. We've all got to band together and come out better in the end and make our brand that much better, because we're going to go away for a while. We're going to work our tails off to be relevant, produce content for you, and do some things to really keep you guys in our minds and keep the T-Bones in your minds as well. So all that's coming. Okay, so to recap the breaking news here, I'll give it to you one more time. I got another show to go to, and I'm going to try to go make me a cold one so I can decompress from this bad news today. American Association unveils a plan for the 2020 season. The league will start July 3rd. 60-game season in 3 hub cities. Those 3 hub cities, Fargo, Sioux Falls, and Milwaukee. The other 3 teams that join those 3 teams, which obviously Fargo, Sioux Falls, and Milwaukee will be. St. Paul will go to Sioux Falls. Winnipeg goes to Fargo, and Chicago goes to Milwaukee. Those will be your hubs. They'll play the 60-game season, 42 of which will be at the hub ballparks, and then they will play the teams that have the better records will Will be the two teams playing the postseason and go from there. Let's see here, David. I see you out there, buddy. Yeah, it's not good news. We're gonna hang with them, gonna fight through it and hang with them. I gotta lie to you. I knew it was coming down to the wire. Okay, I knew that. So I knew we were on the edge of a cliff one way or the other. Either we're going to play or we weren't. I knew it. So the Band-Aid's off and time to heal, right? But David, again, keep the faith there, buddy. Let's keep the faith. Let's keep going. Wishing the brethren in the league a great season. And for you guys that are in the boat not playing, wishing you a great off season. Although I will throw this in there, and I'll talk more about this on Wednesday. There is some things developing in Texas for maybe some teams to play in other venues. I know that from collegiate baseball to be played in other minor league venues. I know that Amarillo, San Antonio, I believe Round Rock and Frisco will all be hosting collegiate wooden bat teams at some point this summer. I could see that a scenario in Cleveland, perhaps even in Grand Prairie. So that could all happen as well. But I wishing that it's not all doom and gloom. Again, this is a chance to be creative. The league's done a great job with it, and I'm very proud and very happy they did. Again, the news: a 60-game season starts on July 3rd. They will announce on Monday those schedules for the teams playing. A final time the teams playing will be Fargo, Sioux Falls, Milwaukee, St. Paul, Winnipeg, and Chicago, playing in 3 hub cities. Those will be Fargo, Sioux Falls, Milwaukee. Chicago's in Milwaukee. St. Paul's in Sioux Falls, and Winnipeg is in Fargo. That's it. That's your breaking news there, folks. I wish it was better news today, but again, we're going to do, there we go. We are going to play baseball at some point in the association. It just won't be T-Bones baseball. The American Association is going forward. Again, we'll look forward to see you guys Wednesday. The Steakhouse will be a big one. We'll have a lot to unwrap on Wednesday. We will have, again, hopefully Mark Brandmeyer, Chris Brown, or someone for the ball club to join us and sort of dive in and dissect some of this and get some of the behind-the-scenes things. And maybe we'll have some more to announce as far as activities going forward. All right? Again, that's the news. T-Bones will sit out this season, but the association will forge on, and we wish everybody the best. Have a happy rest of your Friday. Hug someone near and dear to you. Love them. Go T-Bones. We're going to be fine. You got to believe. Keep the faith. 2021 will simply kick ass. Trust me, all right? And I will close with the close, or close the close. Can you close the close? Close the close. Close the close. Close. You guys know what I mean, right? We're going to roll the close. This is what he's going to do. Close the close. There we go. Close with the close sign. There we go. What am I doing? Closing. The word close enough times. If I say it enough times, I'm going to close the close. There we go. Roll the close, Dan. Here we go. We'll see you guys next Wednesday on the Steakhouse. Thanks for joining me. We'll see y'all then. Happy weekend, everybody. Love y'all.